All right, maybe we're streaming. I think we are. Let's see here. How do I adjust this? Hello, Daniel. Hello, D-Fresh. Just getting set up here. I have to figure out how to get the comments a little bigger. Hi, Leo. Hi, Rick. Here we go. Okay, now I can see the comments in a couple places. Here we go. Okay, now I can see the comments in a couple places. Hello, everyone. Yes, Daniel, that is the ASCAR 185 Apo. That's what I'll be doing some galaxy photography tonight with. Here we go. Some live stacking of galaxies. Okay, now I can see the comments in a couple places. I'm going to focus on the Messier. Hello, everyone. Galaxies. Yes, Daniel, that is the inspired by 185 Messier Marathon. That's what I'll be to capture doing some more of these Messier galaxy photography tonight. They're more fun than some live stacking of galaxies. Okay, now I can see the comments in a couple places. I'm going to focus on the Messier. Hello, everyone. Galaxies. Yes, Daniel, that is the inspired by 185 Messier Marathon. That's what I'll be to capture doing some more of these Messier galaxy photography tonight. They're more fun than some live stacking of galaxies. Okay, now I can see the comments in a couple places. Stephen Young, also from New Hampshire. Cool. The Messier. Hello, everyone. Galaxies. Yes, Daniel, that is the inspired by 185 Messier Marathon. That's what I'll be to capture doing some more of these Messier galaxy photography tonight. They're more fun than some live stacking of galaxies. Okay, now I can see the comments. Stephen Young, also from New Hampshire. Cool. The Messier. Hello, everyone. Yes, Daniel, that is the inspired by 185 Messier Marathon. That's what I'll be to capture doing some more of these Messier galaxy photography tonight. They're more fun than some live. Okay, I think I fixed it now. My security camera was recording audio. Did not understand it would do that. Let's see if that's on any of these other ones. Ooh. Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to get going pretty quick on this here. All right, thank you everyone for bearing with me through these, trying to get things set up here. And we're losing light fast, so let me just see here if I can still do my mailbag feature. Let's see. All right, I'm going to go right into the mailbag because I want to at least get through a few photos that people have sent in on each live stream. So let's go ahead and start. This was sent in from Stefan from Switzerland. And this was shot with a new telescope for them, the ASCAR 71F, with a normal Canon DSLR, Canon 90D. I'm trying to do more with normal DSLRs in upcoming videos, so I'm excited to see this one. And this is, of course, the familiar Orion and Running Man nebulae in natural colors. Sorry for the glare. Hopefully you can see it a little bit. And this was 80 lights of 40 seconds each, combined with 20 darks. And Stefan says he was totally blown away. Yeah, it's so cool. And he's working with Cyril, Graxpert, and Lightroom to edit the photos. He says, with a non-modified DSLR, the colors are quite different from what you usually see, but I like it a lot. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, compared to a modified DSLR, you want to see as much sort of a greenish blue color in the trapezium because the hydrogen is pretty strong here. But I also like a very natural Orion nebula. So thanks so much for sending this in, Stefan. Ooh, next up we have, this is sometimes called the Garlic Nebula. I'm sure in the letter here it'll say what the official name is. It's a supernova remnant in Cepheus, I know that. CTB1, right. Oh no, not in Cepheus, in Cassiopeia. And this was sent in from Patrick in Germany, who shot this with his friend Eric. And it's 17 hours and 45 minutes of total exposure. And they shot it with an Optolong L Extreme filter. Both Eric and Patrick used the Esprit 100 camera. Esprit 100 telescope, sorry, and the ASI 533 MC Pro camera. So that's why it's this nice square, which works really well for this object. Oh, and Patrick also wanted me to mention he has a YouTube channel too called Deep Cosmos, so you can check that out. This is really well done. I apologize for the glare, but I'll try to tilt it maybe so you can see it a little bit better. There we go. So you can see there's lots of nice oxygen there. Definitely the long integration time definitely paid off with this one. Okay, and then we have, this looks like a southern hemisphere object. Yes, indeed, from Chile. This is taken with a plane wave CDK-17 from Rio Hurtado, Chile. And this is, oh no, this is in Orion, so you could shoot this from the northern hemisphere too. This is the SH2-278 emission nebula with the blue areas that are reflection nebula. And this is from Dan Stern. And Dan mentioned that he's having trouble with printing. You know, that's a common thing, especially printing on paper, that our images turn out darker than we'd hoped, or you're losing detail than you can see on the screen. So I've made a couple videos. One of them was about using backlights to try to fix that problem. But of course, now I'm encouraging people just to try printing on paper, because it is a challenge, and it's definitely a difficult challenge, you know, to try to bring out what you want on paper. But as Dan said, I think that you can't expect the version that you get on paper to be exactly like the version you see on the screen. So it's best to just sort of keep your expectations in check there, not try to mimic exactly what you see on the screen, but try to make a work of art on paper that you're happy with. All right, I'm going to see if I can raise the ISO on my camera a little bit, make the screen a little brighter. Okay, and next up, actually this was written on the back, one second. We have Seth, who is Green Fire Astro on Instagram, and Seth said that you don't really finish the photo until it's printed. And yeah, that's a really nice way to think about it, that printing really gives us that final sense of accomplishment that the photo is finally done. And this is a 3-panel mosaic, meaning 3 stacked pictures tiled together in processing of the whole of Barnard's Loop here in Orion. Very well done. And this is unusual in that most people who send in pictures are printing on glossy paper, and this is matte. But I think that works well for this dusty region in Orion. I wouldn't say it works well for all astrophotos, but for this one, I think it does work pretty well. Okay, I probably can only do one more before we've lost too much light. But I will get to them all in future live streams. Okay, I'll try to show this one off. This is a region I've shot as well. It's that huge dark nebula right next to the Cygnus wall, and it looks to me sort of like an ink blot or maybe an octopus. I think it's a really cool object. So, and this is one where I talked about the backlit printing earlier. I think this is one that would really benefit from the backlit printing, where you have a lot of dark nebulosity, but then also these parts where it's transitioning from the dark to the brighter nebula. But this looks pretty good. Let me just see who this is by. One second, it's on the back of the photo. This is by Dewey, and this was shot with a dual narrowband filter and an ASCAR FRA 300. So well done, Dewey. All right. Let's see, is this still? Okay, that's still working. All right, I'm going to have to stop there on the mailbag because we've lost the light. And I tried bringing out this little artificial light, but it didn't quite work how I wanted. I think it's too small a source. In my office, I have a bigger source, which makes a softer light, which helps with reflections. This thing is too small, so on those glossy prints, it's just making too much of a glare on the prints. Anyways, let's see here. Am I still streaming? I'm not sure. Let's see. I think I am. But no one's saying anything on the chat anymore, it doesn't look like. So we're probably about half an hour till it's dark enough to start doing something with the telescope. But I'll look through the chat here and see if there's any questions I can answer. Oh, and I should mention, if you want to participate in the mailbag, I have the instructions in the description of this stream. I had a lot of photos come in January, and then when I announced it, and then they've started dropping off. But of course, that's because not as many people watch the live streams. But again, it's still open. If you send something in, you will be featured in a future live stream. And the point, again, is just to encourage people to print and think about sort of the artistic aspects of astrophotography, which I find so fun. Siderium says, I'm a computer science enthusiast, and I'm thinking about making an AI-based coma corrector for post-processing for people that can't afford one. Do you think it's a cool idea? Yeah, for sure. I think you'll definitely be competing with, what's that project from Russ Croman, Blur Exterminator, because that, I think, does some of the same kind of thing, correcting the stars, especially out to the corners. But of course, that's a paid project. I think there are now people developing free versions, like Frank's Cosmic Clarity, I think, is along the same lines. But maybe I'm not understanding fully. But I think that's what you mean, is sort of like correcting the stars without a coma corrector. Hi, Tom from Down Under, all the way from Australia. It's probably morning there, or I don't know. What time would it be there? I guess morning. What telescope have you got there? What's the millimeter? This is it's 185 millimeter aperture and a bit over 1,000 millimeter focal length. It's by ASCAR. Do I recommend it? If you have the right mount for it, yeah, I guess so. We'll see what it can do tonight. What's the plan for tonight, said Astrobirder? That we're going to do Messier galaxies, some live stacking on Messier galaxies. So just moving fairly quickly. We'll see how many we can hit. Maybe 10. I'm not sure. Lazy Astro says, just wanted to say it was great meeting you at NEAF at your Sunday group meeting. Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for coming to that. Every year at NEAF, I do a Patreon meetup. So anyone who's joined my Patreon, which you can see is on the screen right here, can come to that and just meet other local astronomers who are coming to NEAF. What did you have to do to balance the 185 scope? Nothing in particular, just normal balance, I guess. It's on a pretty beefy mount right now, so I'm using a few counterweights there. "15 hours ahead in Australia." Hey, clear ambient skies. Thanks for coming. Yeah, I'm hoping for some great galaxy images. It's looking pretty clear. I'm seeing the bats right now. Lots of bats. And a couple of bright stars. Jim says, I'm waiting delivery on an ASCAR 71F AM3 and ASI 2600 MC Air. Any ideas on baseline settings for camera and mount? Jim, I have a video. It's like the thumbnail is like I'm on a e-bike, and I think I go over settings in that one because it's the exact same setup that you're talking about there. And I believe, probably with the MC Air, you're going to do gain 100. Cooling depends on your location, but usually a good starting point is like -10 Celsius. And then the guide camera, the tricky thing is the focus is this little silver knob. So it might not come in focus, and you just have to adjust it. After you get focus for the main camera on the Air, you have to adjust the guide camera focus. But then once you do, it's set and you're good. Hey, Smith, nice to see you. Hey, Gregory, nice to see you here. Hey, Brian, good to see you at NEAF and here. Thank you about the NEAF presentation. I did the intro series at NEAC this year, so for people that were sort of either new to astrophotography, I don't think the crowd was actually brand new, but that was still the idea, is at NEAC they still want here's what you can do to get started in the hobby if you're a beginner. So I like teaching that. It suits me pretty well. Will asks, what's your favorite DSO to image? I like anything new to me is what I find exciting. Sometimes I like going back to the same ones, but I really like new things. And even more than that, I like objects that I haven't even seen a good photo of. If you search them on Astrobin, there may be like a few grainy photos, but like nothing super impressive. So if you can be like the first to really go deep on it, that's my favorite kind of thing. So right now, with my Texas setup, I'm going deep on the area near Sharpless 174, which is, I think it's called the Valentine's Rose Nebula or something. And there's lots of good pictures of it, but I've never seen one really capturing all of the dust in a nice wide mosaic. So I'm trying to do something different there. What's your personal biggest astrophotography inspiration? Probably JP Metzavanio. He's a Finnish astrophotographer. His blog is Astro Anarchy. And the reason he's a big inspiration to me is he does these very intense mosaics and multi-year projects. And once I discovered that kind of thing, that like people would spend 6 years on one photo or something like that, I just thought that was really cool. And I enjoy doing that kind of thing. So I have started many projects that are many years in the works, and they're not, they'll take a long time. But I like that about astrophotography, that you can stretch out a project over years, because it just gives you always something to look forward to. With a scope that has such a long focal length, how do you polar align? Well, this mount is in an observatory on a concrete pier, and the concrete pier goes 6 feet down into the ground, so it's not going to move really. So I polar aligned the mount a year ago, and it hasn't changed polar alignment. Like I could put any telescope on that mount and it's still polar aligned. But I mean, even if I wanted to check polar alignment today, I have a little QHY Polemaster on an adapter, so I could just slide that right onto the dovetail and check polar alignment if I wanted to. What focal length would you recommend for a beginner? I would say if you don't have a tracking mount, I would go with 135 to 200 millimeter focal length if you're talking deep sky. 135 is good for many nebulae, and then 200 is better for galaxies. And then if you get the star tracker, then you could go up to 300 millimeter focal length. That's sort of the general range, though, is like 100 to 300 is great for a beginner. Smith asks, how will Ioptron Sky Tracker perform with a Canon T3i, Canon 50mm, and ball head? Great, I would think. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that. Aaron asks, how is the observatory going? Any new additions? No, since I finished Power, I haven't really added anything. But maybe this summer I'll do something. I think, oh yeah, I was thinking of adding like a monitor station and putting like permanent computers out here. Because right now I hadn't settled on that, so they're running just off whatever laptops I bring out. Do you do any serious photography outside of astro? Serious, no. Working on various art projects that are semi-related to astro, that are long-term projects, but I'm not sure how closely they're going to be photographic. So I'm seeing more stars. I'm seeing Ursa Major. Sky looks a little patchy, actually, but hopefully it clears up. Siderium says, solely in terms of how they look, do you generally prefer nebulae or galaxies? Definitely nebulae. I mean, I'm trying to embrace galaxies more, but as my channel name suggests, I'm mostly into nebulae. More photo. Are you planning to finish the walls or leave them bare? No rush to finish the walls, so right now I'd say just leave them bare. I guess it would look nice for this kind of thing, live streams and stuff, to have finished walls, but I'm not sure. I think I read that the more you finish the walls and stuff, the heat takes longer to dissipate. I'm not sure if I'm really that concerned about that. Trying to pick between the Red Cat 51, the Mini Cat 51, the SV Boney 555, and the Ascar 55. If you were to get one, which would you choose? The Ascar 55. Trying to remember which one that is. Is that the new? That might be the new one. I think the SQA 55. Is that what it's called? Can't remember. If you're talking about the Ascar SQA 55, that's like in a different league. So if you have the mount for it, I'd probably get that one. Smith is leaving, has to go to work. See you later, Smith. Jim, is your rollback roof motorized? It is not. So I can push it off pretty easily. I've been thinking about maybe adding a motor eventually. If I get one, I'll go with Dark Dragons. They're these guys down in South Carolina. They're at NEAF every year. They're great guys, and they've designed this nice motor control system for this kind of thing. Grigory says, how do you plan a large mosaic? Because at some point your computer will not be able to process it. How people do large mosaics. At some point you have to resample. Yeah, I've been thinking about making a video about that. I started it at one point, but it just got too complicated to make a video. But I'll start it again some later date. So I ended up having to build a better computer to process large mosaics, because on a standard computer you have for everyday things and even everyday astrophotography processing, it's not going to be able to handle very large mosaics. So you really need something with a lot of processing power, a lot of RAM, all this stuff. And then, yeah, in terms of resampling, there's certain limits, especially when you're getting into sort of finished file formats. Almost all of those have limits, and so then you do have to resample to fit within those limits. But and I can't remember off the top of my head what those are, but then there are certain file formats that accept really huge files. So you can continue working to a certain point, and then you have to resample. Oh, thank you for the super chat, Gregory. I really appreciate that. Lots of smoke here in New Jersey. Oh, I wonder if that's what I'm seeing is the patchiness. I didn't think I saw smoke on Astrospheric, but could be. Mark asks, have you ever used a reflector? I don't remember you using one. Yeah, I have. I haven't made too many videos on that, but I did make one that was my thoughts about refractor versus reflector and why I mostly use refractors. But you can probably find it just like, I think it's called refractor versus reflector, something like that. Or maybe it's called something else, like $300 telescope. I can't remember, but I'm sure you can find it. And my main point with it is reflectors are more for people that like tinkering or just will accept that their star shapes aren't going to be as perfect as with refractors. So, but there's other issues with reflectors too. They have to solve like light leaks and all these other kinds of things that refractors generally don't have. So really up to the personality of the person more than anything, I think. Do I do any visual astronomy? Yeah, I do binocular astronomy mostly. I have a nice pair of Oberwerk binoculars that I like looking through. And then I also just really love naked eye, just observing the night sky, looking for meteors and things. It's the SQA55. Okay, yeah, so I did get that right. Yeah, the SQA55 is definitely the most impressive small telescope I've ever tried. The one that probably could equal it or beat it is the what is that called? The new Takahashi. I can't remember the name, but Takahashi just released a new small telescope that has a fluorite flattener and fluorite flattener reducer, and that one is super impressive from the specs at least. I'd like to try that one. Gorilla Coast says, I have the Skywatcher Evo Star 72, which is a doublet and shows quite a bit of chromatic aberration. Do you think adding a fringe killer would help at all? That is something I've been meaning to test. I know some people have reported that it does help. If you're a Photoshop user, I find that the Camera Raw Filter Defringe tool works pretty well for magenta chromatic aberration around stars, so you might find that a software solution can work pretty well too. I'm thinking of building an observatory with a gambrel style shed. This would give me 2 low walls and I was thinking of putting the roof on garage door style rails. Good idea or bad? What I'm imagining is the roof rolls off on the garage door rails and then the walls fold down. That's a pretty common design. You can buy the design from backyard observatories, and they have all the plans for that. So I think it works well for them. So I would think it can work well as a design. Steven says, people underestimate visual astronomy. I bet you could do an awesome video about it. No gear needed other than glasses, contacts. Yeah, for sure. Some of my art ideas have to do with just visual astronomy, just looking at the sky, sort of conceptual art around that, and just spending time under the sky and sort of getting to know it. Rainey says, hello, Nico. Greetings from Canada. Hello, Rainey. JB asks, how are you liking the observatory so far? I really like it. I like being out here. Sometimes the tall trees annoy me, but for the most part, I just enjoy it. This winter, I didn't use it as much as I thought I would. Just got busy and the weather wasn't very good. The weather wasn't very cooperative. So I'm hoping this, now that we're entering La Nina, we're going to get more clear skies here in New Hampshire. Gregory says, I'll have two scopes in the same mount, one scope with 550 millimeter focal length and the other at 2563. It is very different. What would be a good strategy to take advantage? Well, I think anything in the Milky Way core area will turn out well in both. That'd be my first thought, is areas or not even Milky Way core, anywhere along the Milky Way, you're going to find that if you're shooting something close up at 2563, the wide field image is going to pick up a lot of cool stuff in that same direction. Galaxies are harder because I think a wide field image at 550 of galaxies is often not super interesting, at least to me. I know that you could do a deep field on like Markarian's chain or something like that. So I guess the thing is, another thing I just thought of is definitely when you're planning, have both field of view indicators up in whatever tool you use. I wish, that's one thing that Telescopius doesn't do that I wish it could do, is multiple field of view indicators, because Blackwater Skies Imaging Toolbox can do it, and what's the app I use? Sky Safari can do it. But anyways, if you know what I mean, having both up so you can sort of plan that way of seeing, well, how should I center it so that it's a good photo with both telescopes? Jeffrey asks, what are you using to control the scope and acquire images? So I've tried a couple things last night. I was trying to maybe do live video of the galaxies. They didn't look very good. So I'm going to do live stacks with ASI Live, the ZWO product. But then I'll control the scope with maybe a combination of Sequence Generator Pro and Carte du Ciel Planetarium app. Let me start that up here. Astrophysics. Sorry about that. Been watching your videos a bit here. I just bought a Star Adventure GTI. I wanted to know if I could use it for astrophotography in my Bortle 7 area. Yeah, for sure. You'll have to practice a bit. If you don't have something like an ASI Air or a computer attached to it, which can do plate solving, then you'll have to still do some finding with it because it can't master go-to right away. You have to do sort of a star alignment, and even then it can be a little bit off. So you sort of have two choices. You can go with like a red dot finder and like learn the sky a bit with it and train the go-to and using the app, or you can get something like an ASI Air or laptop and attach it to the GTI, and that will help find things more automatically. But either way, you can definitely use it in a Bortle 7 area. Jeffrey says, isn't guiding going to be difficult at 2500 millimeter focal length? I think Grigory's going to be using a plane wave, so they make a really good mount that it shouldn't be an issue. When do you like to start imaging? At Astro Dark, a bit before, or depends on the target? It depends on the target and the filters that I'm using. If I was shooting HA, yeah, I'll shoot before. But if I'm shooting broadband, I'll start at Astro Darkness. But I mean, tonight, this is just for fun, we'll start before. Probably start pretty soon here. It doesn't get truly Astro Dark for a while. Joe asks, any insight on the C-Star S30 Pro? I saw it at NEAF and it looked pretty cool. The thing I'm excited about is that, they're trying to make these smart scopes a jack of all trades kind of thing, and so they're now adding better sensors for the wide field imager, so that's pretty cool. I like the idea that you could do some wide field with it too. Matt asks, hello from England. Wonder if you can help. I have a Skywatcher GTI and use Nina and Green Swamp server and having issues setting mount limits, and it gets too close to a collision. Any idea? I use EQ ASCOM and set my mount limits there, so I don't know Green Swamp server. So you might have to. I'm not sure if I can help with that one, unfortunately. I'd also say the GTI, I thought, could only go 15 degrees past the... but the mount limit might be with Zenith. That could run into the tripod or something. So, yeah, I guess I'm not sure. Brendan says, past weekend I did my first polar alignment with hope I can figure it out then. Yeah, definitely, I think you can. It'll take some work, but it's definitely possible, and try to have fun learning the night sky. Even in Bortle 7, it can be a lot of fun. I started in Bortle 8 with just a star tracker and no filters, no modified anything, just a stock DSLR and a star tracker, and it's still fun. Start with the Messier objects. Those ones are nice and bright. Those are the ones we'll be looking at tonight. Do you ever get burned out doing astrophotography? How do you revive your interest? Not exactly. I think I get burnt out just sometimes working too hard or stressing out about things, but astrophotography has always been a nice relief to me. I think that if I only did YouTube videos and Starfront and never like got out actually under the night sky, I would get burnt out. But to me, like being out here alone under the stars, I don't think I'll ever find that that's stressful. But I guess in general, what I'd say is like for people getting burnt out is just to try something different. That's what that's why I do the monthly challenges. I try to encourage people to just try something they haven't tried before, because I think it can get you thinking in different ways, and you'll avoid burnout if you're just not like doing the same thing over and over again. Brendan says, when you refer to a laptop with the GTI instead of the ASI Air, is that with the program Nina? Yeah, that's the most common way to do it. And you would need Nina. You would need a particular cable called an EQ direct cable to connect your GTI to the laptop, and then some drivers, an ASCOM driver for the SynScan, or the most common ones are either Green Swamp Server. I know this is a lot of terminology, or EQ ASCOM. But you can email me, nicocarver@gmail.com, and I can tell you exactly what to get if you're interested in that. All right, I'm going to stop answering questions for a bit here and try to bring up a more interesting screen. Let me see here. Let's see what we're seeing here. All right. So this is my finder scope tonight. This is on top. You can sort of, you can see it in this view right here, the security camera. You see that bright screen on top of the ASCAR 185. So that's the ASCAR FMA 180, and my Sony camera acting as a live finder scope. And so that star in the middle of the screen is Polaris, and you can see the image is fairly blue because it's still not quite dark, but getting dark. You can see there's a lot of stars there. And now I'm just gonna start slewing the telescope here. Let me make sure I'm going somewhere good. All right, let me unpark. And we'll try slewing. Okay. I wonder if that little thing in the middle is Messier 51. It looks like it, I think. I have to remove my lens cap. 1 second here. Seems like you might need some longer wires. Yeah, you saw that. It's hard with the USB-C for streaming. You can't make them too long or they don't transmit well. So doing my best with the live streaming. It's a little difficult. Are those satellites occasionally going through the screen? Yeah, Brian, they are. Early in the night, you see a lot of them if you shoot high sensitivity video of the night sky, like what you can do with this Sony camera. All right, let's open up ASI Live. When shooting in heavy light pollution, what's the lowest altitude of an object you would do currently in Bortle 9, Chicago? Also, you mentioned, Nina, an experience with SGP. Let me just switch to a better view here. 1 second. When shooting in heavy light pollution, what's the lowest altitude of an object you would do currently in Bortle 9, Chicago? Also, you mentioned, Nina, an experience with SGP. Let me just switch to a better view here. 1 second. When shooting in heavy light pollution, what's the lowest altitude of an object you would do currently in Bortle 9, Chicago? Also, you mentioned, Nina, an experience with... All right, SGP. We got our first object going here on our tour of galaxies. Let me just switch to a better view here. 1 second. People can shout out in the chat what this one is. When shooting in heavy light pollution, what's the lowest altitude of an
back to
object
Wayne.
In heavy light pollution, I do... also, you mentioned, Nina, an
40 degrees
all right,
or
got our
higher.
first object going here.
Darker
spots,
I'll
do
down
to
a better
25, even 20. People can shout out in the chat what this one is.
Echo.
Okay, got it. Sorry. Okay, so to answer Wayne one more time, in heavy light pollution, I'll do like try to stick it to 40 degrees or higher. Even 45 would be even better in Bortle 9. Really, the higher the better. You know, once you get to a darker sky, then 30, 25 degrees is good. And then in a really dark sky like Starfront, I go down to 20 degrees. What's the target? Rob got it, M51. So this is M51, the Whirlpool Galaxy. Oh no, what happened? Dropped out. Let's get back on here. All right, sorry about that. Technical glitches. But anyways, I'm streaming, live stacking, this, and it's maybe a little bit out of focus. I'm going to go check focus. Let me stop this 1 second. I'll be right back. All right, I think someone asked about Sequence Generator Pro. It's a windowed version of it here, but this is Sequence Generator Pro. I still use it quite a bit, just because I'm used to it. I do hope to learn Nina at some point. Okay, but I'm going to go back here and I'm going to restart this stack now that we're in focus. I forgot about that. Hopefully it'll look a little better than this. Okay, so restarting stacking, yes. Oh yeah, definitely more in focus. Zoom in a little bit. That's showing more of the capability of the ASCAR 185 Apo. The one before was quite a bit fuzzy. That's showing a lot more detail. Good evening. Yeah, pollen isn't an issue here in New Hampshire. I'm glad, because I don't think I would handle it well. I think a few people have talked about they're out doing astrophotography right now. A couple people messaged me ahead and told me they would be out shooting and trying to catch my live stream at the same time. Jeffrey says, Nico, what is your exposure here for the subs, and what are you using? The gear is up there on the slide. But I'm using ASI Live to stream this and do the live stacking. And then the subs are 30 seconds each, live stacked at gain 100. Why no autofocus? I am changing things so often that I often don't really get to it. I should probably put one on this scope since it's my big scope right now, so probably I'll keep it on this mount for a while. Oh, cutting in and out. Uh-oh. Hopefully, let me see here. Oh yeah, why did my stream go so bad? Okay, I think it's back. I'm not sure why it got so bad there for a minute. Oh, no, it's jumping again. Hold on, let me go check something. All right, sorry about that. I think we're back in business. Signal strength is good again. Barry says, my cat is watching too. Maggie fessed up. She got home from work and started uploading things to our home server, and that took a lot of the bandwidth, I think, which was the problem. Jeff says, should we go for the Cat's Eye Nebula? Oh, that'd be cool. I think I want to stick to my plan of doing the Messier galaxies, but this one I think is good enough. Maybe we should move on to the next one. Let's see, what else would be good right now? Maybe M101, I bet, is good. Where is that in the sky? Yeah, that would be good right now. Very close to M51. People are giving suggestions here. Yeah, I'll definitely get to those. M94, M104. Those are definitely good ones to do. I think someone asked about the astrophysics mount. The one thing I do love about it is this emergency stop, how big that is. And there's a bunch of things I like about it, but it is a good mount. M63, yep, definitely. We'll do that one. Right, let me change my overlay. We're now going to be shooting M101, the pinwheel. So from a whirlpool to a pinwheel. Probably my favorite focal length rainy is like 300. I don't know. It's hard to say. It depends on the project, but I do really like my Starfront setup, which is at 350 with an APS-C. Probably my favorite target is sort of a toss-up between the Spaghetti Nebula and the flying bat and squid. I like both of those quite a lot. What's an object I could shoot with 135 right now? At this time of night, really just like Markarian's chain or something like that. But then if you wait till about 2:30, 3 a.m., assuming you're in the northern hemisphere, then you can do anything in the Milky Way core area. I'd probably do Rho Ophiuchi. That's my favorite at 135. Jeff Free asked, are you using any light pollution filter? Nope. I'm the ASI 2600 has an IR cut filter built in, and I'm at a Bortle 3 sky. Maybe I should have added that to the overlay. So no light pollution filter needed. For anyone joining, we're live stacking Messier galaxies tonight. So we're on our second one, Messier 101, the pinwheel. I'll just wait till each one gets fully developed, not like noise free, but at least like you can see the outer arms, and then I'll move to the next one. With this setup, it probably only take like 5 minutes maybe for each one. I think we can add a little more contrast now that the sky is getting darker. We're still 20 minutes out from astro darkness. So for anyone curious about that, from a Bortle 3 sky, even when you're 20 minutes out from astro darkness, it feels pretty dark. I can see probably 100, 150 stars already. Yeah, Randy, for anyone curious what the wide camera is seeing, there's the wide camera now. Looks a bit out of focus, but that's okay. It's just a finder. Oop, got a satellite trail right through our shot. I guess ASI Live doesn't reject those automatically. Bill asks, will an ASI Air Mini control the new Minicam 8? No. ASI Air, in terms of astronomy cameras, only can control ZWO astronomy cameras. So the small computer controller you'd be looking at for the Minicam 8 would be QHY is making something, but it's sort of been in hiatus for a while. But I think the one that's already out is the TubeTech Stella Vita. And I don't know if Minicam 8 is supported yet, but I think what I remember them saying is that they're planning to. It just needs the Indy driver support. Is the ASCAR 185 APO reduced? I think it is. I'll have to check. 1 second. Yes, Nabby, I do have the 0.8x reducer on there, so I think that brings it down to f5.6. Gregory asked, I know you have a scope at Starfront. Do you image every single clear night there? That must be a lot of data collected. Yeah, I do image every night. I work on fairly long-term projects, so a lot of data is definitely helpful. It's been a little bit rainy, cloudy down there. I don't think the roofs are open tonight at Starfront. But overall, still a lot better than here in New Hampshire, of course. The Super Fun Man says, not in the live stack. Sea stars leave the trails as well. Okay. I guess if we left it going long enough, the trail would probably start dissipating, but I'm just messing with the contrast controls here. See if we zoom in on it a little bit. What kind of detail we've got. Gregory, what is that project? Well, whenever I'm just sort of not working on anything else, I work on the Ursa Major arc, that straightish red line through Ursa Major. Very ancient supernova remnant is the thought. But then I've also been working, I think I mentioned earlier on the stream about this, a mosaic around Valentine's Rose, which is one of the planetary, I think it's a planetary nebulae, or maybe it's an H2 region, I can't remember. But anyways, it's one of the sharpless regions that's closest to Polaris. Those are the kinds of things you can shoot sort of all year. Joe asks, can the EQ6R handle the ASCAR 185? Yeah, if you look at my review of the ASCAR 185, I did use the EQ6R there. And I didn't have any counterweight shaft extension, but I did have an extra counterweight. And what do I have to say about it? Oh, I was doing it on a pier, though, a concrete pier in an observatory. I probably would not trust it on the default tripod that comes with the EQ6R. Maybe if you got like a super heavy-duty tripod, but really a pier would be best if you're going to do the EQ6R. I think a better mount long term for something like the ASCAR 185 would be astrophysics, or if you're talking about consumer mounts, probably like an Ioptron SEM 120 or a Skywatcher EQ8R. How long does it take for the Messier to do a full rotation? 1 million years. I'm not sure if I understand, David. Maybe, like, do you mean like a full rotation relative to us. I wonder why it got so much brighter just now. Anyways, the outer arms are now fully developed, so I guess we can move on to our next galaxy. Let me look at a planetarium and sort of think about what to go to next. I think someone requested M63. We try that. If I can connect my astrophysics mount to Cartesial, let's see. Okay, that was easy. Slew. All right, the suspense. We'll see if it's centered in the frame or not. Probably will be. The astrophysics mount is very good at pointing once you go to a few objects. Yep, there it is. Oh, should change my overlay. M63. Do you ever get burned out on astrophotography? Not really. I mean, if I get out under the stars like this, that is an instant cure for me. Just being out here, actually doing it. I think probably burnt out is more like when we just have nothing but clouds. Like Comet Cryo says there, dealing with the clouds for the indefinite future. This one might take a little longer to develop, but looks like there's some cool detail in there. Would you say the Skywatcher Quattro 130 PDS Newt would work on the EQM35 Pro mount? Possibly. You would need to get it dialed in, good balance, good polar alignment, good guiding. Everything needs to sort of go right for that to work. And then the other thing to keep in mind is wind, because bigger telescopes, like a reflector, definitely can pick up the wind more, and then on lighter weight mounts, it causes issues. So you just really got to start practicing. I don't know if you haven't seen first light because of bad weather or just putting it off, but just start and get going with it, and you'll learn more from just trying things and failing. 185 millimeter refractor. Nice. Yeah, this is a nice refractor. It's good for this kind of thing, getting nice detail on bright objects quickly. I might do this more often with this scope, and just like, tours of the night sky in different seasons might be fun. Like, right now it's galaxy season, but then once we get the Milky Way core up, we could do a tour of the Milky Way core area, all the different objects in there. What kind of animals are in the vicinity of this site? I've been seeing this big skunk. We have a lot of porcupines. We have black bear, coyotes. We have lots of bats, snakes, every kind of rodent, foxes. What else? I've seen a moose on the road. I haven't seen one on my property yet. Can you hear them? All I hear right now are insects and frogs, maybe. My autoguider setup is coming this week, so I may get the cloud curse again. Yeah, that's always an issue. Luckily I have so much stuff I don't need to get anything anymore, so I avoid the cloud curse that way, I guess. I need to organize. My equipment is all over the place. I don't know where anything is right now because it's just been crazy. Could you maybe cruise on over to M51? Unfortunately, you missed it, and I don't think I want to go back to one we've already done, but it looked pretty cool. Maybe you can even just sort of scroll back in the live stream if you want to see it. A lot of green noise, but I was just sort of interested in how much of the core details we're catching there. For anyone familiar with this one, the Sunflower Galaxy, does this look like it's as much as we're going to see, or does it keep going out from here? What filter would be the most useful to get with a stock DSLR? Type of filter and installation. If you're using camera lenses, usually the best kind of filter is a clip-in filter, and you're usually limited to the choices that are designed for your particular DSLR. So I think the most choice is the Canon APS-C DSLRs. There's a lot of clip-in filters available, and I think the one I would like the best, assuming you have tracking and maybe guiding even, is the Optolong L Enhance. It has 20 millimeter band passes, but for a stock DSLR, I think that's better than trying to go too tight with, or too narrow, I should say, with the band passes. I'd love to see you do another Astro Challenge with limited gear. Yes, I'm working on some videos with pretty limited gear. So that probably a number of videos, actually. Thinking, with the economy and different things going on, that'd be a good idea. And I like using just normal DSLRs a lot. Oh, Nabby says 25 and 10. That's right. Yeah, the L Enhance is 25 on the O3 and 10 on the HA. I really like that filter. Okay, this is enough on the sunflower. Let's go ahead and move to something else. I think someone said M94 was good. Let's try that. Any pro tips in dealing with the cold as you sit there? Definitely warm boots and socks are the key thing. I should probably have brought out gloves and a hat, but I didn't. It's amazing how much just sitting out in the cold is different than, when you're actually doing something actively, like shoveling snow or winter sports or something. So I guess, that's the other thing is I can get very absorbed in what I'm doing with astrophotography, but a good thing to do is just like walk around more, because then your blood will flow better and everything. When I'm out at a dark site, I also will sometimes, get into the car and have like a blanket or something in there. All right, let's zoom in on this M94. Let's see what this is all about. Oh, that's interesting. It's like a spiral with a halo, it looks like. But I think my image is too bright. Let me try turning down the brightness. This one might be hard to manage the brightness levels, but we'll see how it develops. Oh, do I have a overlay for this one? Yes. Apparently it's called Croc's Eye. Never shot it before. Well, that's not true. I just did the Messier Marathon, so I captured it untracked, but nothing like this. It would just look like a little blob untracked. Grigory says, do you have an opinion about Nikon P1100 with 24 to 3000 zoom lens? It's under $1,000. Would it be good for moon and planets? I don't know. I've been tempted to like rent it or get someone to loan me one just to try it out and really do that comparison, because like I don't like to judge things without trying them, but I think it's more of a novelty to just be able to like zoom like that. I don't think that optically it's going to really hold up to a telescope. But for under $1,000 and for like travel, you know, if you wanted to just like do moon and planetary on the go, then yeah, then it would definitely be good for that. This is a weird one. So that core is so bright, but it's like there's a lot of detail in there. Let me see. So many spirals. Maybe that's the trick, turning down the contrast on this one. That looks better, I think. Let me zoom out a bit. Let me bring my phone a little closer to read these comments. How about Messier 100? I'll have to look on my planetarium and see if that's in a good spot. Can you also make a Milky Way using astro-cooled camera? That's a good idea. I'll add that to my list. Favorite galaxy? I think M51. I know that's probably a boring answer, but I think that M51, the Whirlpool, looks pretty cool. Got a ZWO FF65. I'm looking at the Carbon Star 6 RC for longer focal length. I don't see many people reviewing RC scopes. It looks so good, though. Have I ever had an RC scope? No, I haven't. I hear mixed things on collimation, but generally I'm pretty lazy and just like have so many refractors to choose from that I haven't really gotten into some of those more complicated designs that are a little more fiddly. And I also find, you know, the RC is usually like an F10. You can reduce it, but I don't know. I'm generally also like starting at a little faster focal ratio than that. Because this kind of thing actually that I'm doing here isn't really the main thing I'm interested in, is like this long focal length imaging. I mean, it's definitely fun. I'm having fun doing it, but it's just not artistically what I end up gravitating towards usually. 211 Milkman is working on, yeah, I remember that, the Ghost Nebula to Iris Nebula mosaic. That's great. Out getting panel 3 of 6. Any plans to integrate heating into the shed? No. I was watching some video where they said about wrapping a dew heater band around the pier and covering your scopes to prevent condensation from, getting rust and stuff on your thing. So I'll probably do that at some point, but I don't really need heat so much. And it just would complicate things, because right now it's a fairly open design. Like I'd have to really enclose it a lot more to add heat. Some people do the additional room. Like I think Lucamatico has that like additional warm room, and my friend Jay Satolano had that too. So I thought about that, but my house is so close to the observatory, and I can control computers from the house. Like this overlay you're seeing right above me is this other laptop that I'm controlling wirelessly, but I could bring this laptop into the house and still control it. So if I need to warm up, I can just go into the house. Big fan from Brazil. Thanks a lot. That's great. Started with Celestron binoculars 10 years ago and now addicted to astrophotos. That's awesome. How to reduce brightness in the galaxy core? Well, yeah, normally you could, if this was normal astro imaging, you could make a mask of it and just bring the brightness down or combine different images or do all kinds of things, HDR. Since this is just live stack, I can't do much. I only have control over brightness, contrast, saturation here under the imaging processing. So I mean, I can bring the brightness way down so we could look at the core. And I could add more contrast to it. So that's the core, but by bringing the brightness way down, you know, I can't keep the cool outer halo, at least in this view. It looks like this really outer halo is probably not going to come out too well in the live stack, so we might move on pretty soon here. Thanks, Jeffrey. Thanks for coming. Aligning my Skywatcher mount is always so tricky in the South Pole. Oh yeah, I bet. I've still never shot in the Southern Hemisphere, but I've heard about how hard polar alignment is. All right, I think let's go on to the next one here. That was the Croc's Eye. What else do I have overlays for? Let's do M106. That might be a good one. Ooh, I'm going to restart that stack. I don't know. We got some trailed stars there. Good morning from Germany, babysitting my remote astro rig in Spain right now. It's 3:41 a.m. Nice to have some entertainment while watching my setup take images. Oh, thanks, Mario. And now he says, must be nice to have dark sky. You can already see the hints of the faint outer halo around M94. Okay, yeah, so we just moved off from M94, but if you looked at that one, there was there's sort of interesting outer halo on that galaxy. Edwin says, I'm constantly moving apartments, so couldn't get the gear for astrophotography, but once I'm settled down, I can't wait to get into this. Yeah, I had that problem in Boston. I was on a third floor walk up, so it's always difficult to get the gear out of the apartment. Nathan asks, if I've got a Skyguider Pro and a Sony APS-C camera, which would you generally say is a better investment, a scope or a lens? I also do general photography, so dual purpose might be a consideration. Yeah, I'd say probably a lens, unless you plan to change cameras soon, like to an astro camera. If you plan to change to an astro camera in the next 2 years, then I'd probably get the small telescope. But if you think you're going to stick with your Sony and you want something more general purpose, then I'd get a good, well-regarded astro lens instead. Oh, I forgot to change the overlay. This is M106. And we've just hit astro darkness about 10 minutes ago. And I thought it looked sort of patchy in the twilight hour, but now it's looking very clear, so I think we're good. I have a Sony A6400, and boy, was the 585 MC an upgrade. Yeah, the astro cameras definitely have some nice advantages. Stephen, afternoon from New Zealand. How far south can you observe from your site? Good question. To the south, I can only observe about 30 degrees down, and I'm at 41 degrees north. So about between the trees, I can do Rho Fiuchi from here. I can do the Lagoon and Trifid, but wouldn't be able to get the Cat's Paw. So I'm not sure on what the declinations are of those, but that gives you an idea. Scott asks, how is a Nikon D500 for astro? I'm not sure. I've been buying some lower cost DSLRs to do some kind of comparison like that, but I haven't come across the Nikon D500 yet. One thing you can do is if you go to the website Photons to Photos and you go to the input referred read noise chart, just comparing cameras there gives you an idea of their capability for astro. So ones that have lower read noise and don't have the triangles, have just the regular circles, I don't know how best to describe it, are better for astrophotography. Bonus is NGC 4248 if you zoom out a little. Okay, I'm zoomed out all the way and I don't see it, but it might be just out of frame. Unless you mean this one right here, right above it. that could be. Oh, that was it. Okay. So this little one, ISOBIG says is NGC 4248. This little one above M106. Hello, Zoliro Astro. Oh, we have a satellite photobombing us. All right, I think that's good for this one. Let's go to something else. We'll take a quick look at the core here before we move on. So that's M106, Messier 106. This might be too far west already. I maybe should have gotten this earlier in the night, but let's see. All right, we'll see if we can get the Leo triplet to Do I tempt fade and change the overlay before we see it? I'll go ahead and do it. Maybe that'll give me good luck. I'm not sure. From my vantage point, it looks like the telescope is pointed at the trees, but it did plate solve, so we'll see. Oh, there we go. It worked. Cool. I shared an image recently of this this one. I do like this triplet of galaxies. M65, M66, and something else. Some NGC is the hamburger galaxy. Enrique, I totally agree. It's pretty amazing what we can see today, thinking about these galaxies so far away and how many of them we can just pull up in 30 seconds and see them. Oh, I'm glad you can hear the crickets, Rainy. Yeah, they're pretty loud. And frogs too, yeah. Yeah, I live in sort of near a swamp, so there's a lot of frogs and crickets and insects and stuff. Once these develop a little bit, we can zoom in on individual galaxies and take a look. Whoop. What did I do? My fault. I know what happened. All right, let's try that again. That was no fault of the astrophysics mount. It actually gave me a nice warning that it could hear that the motor on the mount stalled. What happened was I had a cable for the finder scope wrapping around the wrong way. Ooh, but I guess that stopped the mount tracking. Let's figure this out. did that just cross the meridian? Let's see. No. Huh. Oh, no, I'm confused. All right, that worked. Unpark. Let's try going back to M65. All right, I guess Leo triplet's not in the cards right now. I'm just can't find a good mount position for capturing it right here. So we'll do something else. Oh, I guess we haven't done M82 yet. M8281. Let's go there. That's a good mount position. Much better. All right. While I'm in SGP, I guess I'll check focus real quick. All right, these ones are pretty familiar galaxies. Often after Messier 31, Andromeda, Messier 33, Triangulum, these would be the next ones that people would observe or photograph, because they're close enough together that even here at a little over 1,000 millimeter focal length, you can still get them in the same frame, which is cool. Often called Bodes and Cigar. Bodes is a grand spiral, and Cigar is a starburst galaxy. Nick asks, where's a good place to check when eclipses are happening? Timeanddate.com is the best place to go. Check that out. Hey Chuck, yeah, I can't give up on Sequence Generator Pro. I still love it. It's I'm so used to it. Everything makes sense to me in SGP. I tried finding M81, but no success, LOL. Yeah, it actually can be pretty difficult because it's like you have the Big Dipper, but then Ursa Major keeps extending, and you have to sort of go past the Dipper and then down. And yeah, there's not really any good star patterns there, so it is a little difficult to find it. I have a video about how to take pictures of your DSLR screen with your phone and upload it to astrometry.net. That can help because it can tell you how far off you are and sort of what direction to point your camera. Siderium says, if you don't have a go-to mount, M101 is probably easier than M81. Yeah, I think you might be right about that. Because I think, M101 and M51 are off the handle of the Big Dipper, and they're a little bit easier to sort of triangulate in the sky than M81, which is, yeah, just in a weird spot, sort of. So I just refocused before taking these shots, so let's see if we have some nice detail here. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. I always forget the name of this thing. It's a pretty weird name, this little thing right above M81. It's like Hamburg 11 or something like that. Is M81 brighter than M101? Yes. But M51 might be the brightest of the three. M101 is a little dimmer, but it's It's pretty bright, but M81 I think is brighter, definitely. How long is the current exposure setting? I'm looping 30-second exposures at gain 100. Holmberg 9, that's it. Thank you. M81 is brighter, M101 is larger. Yeah, that sounds right. Nick asked, do I do these live streams often? I'm just getting into it, so I'm trying to do the cadence of 1 a month. And I think I can keep that up. And what I'm at the beginning, I'm doing this mailbag feature, and then hopefully each time I'm going to do the mailbag and then go into some live observing like this. Oh, Siderium points out, yeah, if you want to do M81 and 82, let me zoom out here. Together, this is bigger than M101. But M101 would be just slightly bigger than M81. Let's see if I really bring up the saturation, if we can see any of that starburst in M82. Yeah, starting to see it a little bit. Yes, Corley, I am using the observatory this time. I think you're referring to the total lunar eclipse. I was out in the yard because the total lunar eclipse was to the west, and that's my worst direction in the observatory. But tonight I'm doing this tour of Messier galaxies, which are mostly to, I guess, the north and east. So that's better. I can do it from the observatory. M81 is quite a bit brighter than M51. Oh, I didn't know that. For some reason M51 feels bright, but yeah, that's good to know. I guess just because it's compact. Has anyone tried the Nina live stacking plugin? Oh, that's interesting. No, I haven't heard of it. I find this ASI live, the reason I'm using it is just because it's super easy. I like easy for this kind of thing. Do you have your own backyard observatory? Yes, I'm in it right now, Len. It's a roll-off roof, 2-pier. You can see the wooden walls behind me, maybe. It's not very, let's see if I can turn up this. There you go. You can see the wooden wall behind me there. Barry said, at first I don't understand why you would leave Harvard and the glass plates, but now I get it. You're following your true passion, and that's really cool. Well, thanks, Barry. Yeah, it was a tough decision, but it's interesting. Nothing to do with me leaving, but then just circumstances. They closed that astronomy library in terms of the people working there. and laid everyone off like 6 months after I left. So I guess I wouldn't have had a job much longer anyways. Hey Todd, I'm working on M82 now. It will be my first 100-hour project. Wow, I'm hoping to get a lot of the HA detail. Yeah, that'd be really nice. A bit warmer than the lunar eclipse night for sure. Yeah, there was still some snow on the ground during the lunar eclipse night. All the snow's gone now. It's too bad about this satellite trail. Otherwise, this is looking pretty nice. Do you have any tips for printing planetary images, often small file size res? Oh, that's a good question. I'd have to look into that. I've never done it myself. When did I get into astro? I got into astro in Iceland on a trip, seeing the aurora borealis, the northern lights, and just shooting with the DSLR. And then I was just shooting astro wide field with like a Canon DSLR normal photography gear for a year or more, maybe 18 months before I got a star tracker. And then I had the star tracker for maybe 6 months before I got a telescope and mount and really started going crazy with deep sky stuff. Oh, and this was, I don't know, 10, 11 years ago, maybe? Let's see, what else could we shoot? Maybe M64. Oh, there we go. We're getting some more of the tendrils from the starburst galaxy here, the cigar. Maybe I'll keep it going a little bit longer on these just to see how much detail we can resolve. I have a Rebel T8 and a Rebel T3. I use the T8 for astro and regular photography, but do you think I should astro modify my T3 before all the emission nebulae become more visible? Yeah, I think the T3 is a great camera to modify. I had a modified T3 for a while. It was good. You might be able to even do it yourself. It's not super hard on the Canons. Hello, Randy. Can you do M109? Okay, I don't think I have an overlay for that, but that's okay. Maybe we could do M109. Let's see. Whoops. Currently, it's right on the zenith, so I don't want to do that. But maybe if we wait a bit. Just got my first pictures of Rosette Nebula with my first mono camera and 6.5 nanometer HA filter. Now this is how you astro. That's great. Super fun, man. Yeah, that I remember too the first time I did a mono image and how cool that was. You just see so much more detail in that mono HA. I started with the HA filter. I stuck with that, just the HA filter for a while before even buying any other narrowband filters. This is before the dual narrowband filters with color cameras were popular and available. I think maybe the one from OPT that was very expensive had just come out, but I decided to go mono. I'm using ASI Live, Todd, so it's a free application for the ZWO cameras. Really all it does is live stacking. You just connect your camera to it and tell it how long you want the exposures to be and press play, and then it does it. So it's pretty nice. Hey, Damien. Nice to see you here. Ralph, I just went from a Skyguider Pro to an HAE 29C go-to mount. Super anxious for some clear skies. Yeah, I have to check out more of those Ioptron harmonics. I know they have so many models now. HAE 29C. Never even heard of that one. Would a few more hours make a huge difference even with a small target like M101 at 400 millimeters? A few hours compared to what? I guess it's diminishing returns. So if you're talking like 1 hour versus 4 hours, yeah, that'll make a huge difference. If you're talking 27 hours versus 30 hours, then no, that'll make very small difference. If you're on the east side of the meridian, M100 may be viewable. Let's see. Yeah, that might work. I think I could probably do that one. What was the other one I was thinking? Can't remember now. Todd, it's actually not part of ASI Air. It's like a standalone program. Let me see if I can show it here. So I have it running on my Windows PC. This is what it looks like. If you download the thing called ASI Studio for Windows or Mac, it's one of the many programs on there. I think I tried ASI Air with the astrophysics mount, and I couldn't get it to work, but I didn't try that hard. So. How pleased are you with the ASCAR line of scopes? I currently have a William Optics 73, and I'm looking to upgrade maybe an ASCAR or the new Celestron 6-inch RASA. It would be used mostly for live stacking. Probably for live stacking, I'd go for the RASA. I mean, F2 is just pretty great for live stacking. But you then what would slow you down is, collimation and all that kind of stuff. So I'd say the ASCAR and the William Optics scopes are on par with each other, but ASCAR's really gone all in on, quads and imaging telescopes, so that's why they make a lot of sense for me to review. William Optics does a lot of photography centered scopes too, so I shouldn't say that that's sort of ASCAR's domain only. I guess ASCAR just puts out so many models of telescopes that there's a lot to review. I don't really have an opinion overall on them. But they're very good about sending sample scopes to reviewers. Not all telescope companies are interested in that, so. Do you have the sombrero on your list tonight? Would love to see it. Maybe that was what I was thinking of. What does anyone know the Messier number for sombrero? M104, okay. Yes, I do have an overlay for that. So yeah, let's go to that maybe next. I think the two others people were interested in seeing were M100 and M104. What direction is this? All right, let's see. Let's try it. Okay, here's our final look at M81, M82. I'm not sure about how everything is positioned in the observatory, so I'm going to turn on my light here while this is slewing and make sure it doesn't run into anything. Might be too low, but we'll see. I think the fact that it's ignoring these frames means it's too low. Sorry, we'll do that another night maybe. Let's try M100, I guess. Ooh, that looks interesting. There's two galaxies there. Let's see, catch up on the chat here. Are you running a pointing model, guiding, or both tonight? Actually, neither. For this kind of thing, you don't really need a guiding or pointing model on the Mach 2. It's so accurate just on its own. I have done a little experimentation on my own of trying the different things, and it's like I don't see any difference often between, at least with my experience level or my skies, between doing nothing running a pointing model or guiding. They all end up looking the same to me on the Mach 2, just because it's such a solid mount. But I need to experiment more. Ken says, awesome stacks tonight. Really wish I had your experience, but I'm working on it. Thanks, Ken. Yeah, it's cool when everything works, but I definitely benefited from a practice night yesterday before doing this live streaming, because a lot of times, when I show stuff on my channel, it's because I've already worked out the mistakes and things. Don't want to get people too frustrated by making astrophotography seem like it's all that, but it is a lot of that. You do need a lot of fortitude, I guess, to overcome all the issues we have. M104 is quite small, probably only covers the center 10% of my APS-C sensor on my 24-inch Dob. Wow, that is small. Unfortunately, for anyone that didn't catch it, I tried to shoot M104 and it was too low. I should have done it earlier in the night. Oh, and I just realized my slide is wrong here. Let me see if I could quickly make a new slide. No, how would I do that? All right, that's my quick and dirty covering up because I don't have a slide prepared for M100. And this might be our last one of the night because I don't have any more slides prepared, and M104 was a bust, so we might just wait it out on this one a little bit, see how it develops, and then call it a night. But this is a nice one to end on. This is a really beautiful little galaxy. Are those still 30-second subs? Yep, these are still stacking 30-second subs here. think it's going to stay clear all night, so I'll probably go back to testing the AL EQ55i, and I've also been working on some videos about using this old Soviet lens, Terror 3S. Try that some more. Ooh. Sometimes it just jumps in brightness like that. I'm not sure why. Plenty of time to also live stack NGC 4565. Oh, okay. Barry says, this is a wonderful way to spend the early evening here in Los Angeles. Not even dark enough to see a single star or planet, and it's cloudy anyway. Oh, thanks for coming, Barry. Yeah, it's fun for me too. Definitely getting colder here as the night progresses. Looking forward to next month's live. Any clue what's in store? No, I have no clue. I've been thinking, one idea I have, and I don't know if I'll do it for next month, is, my channel's sort of known for doing these untracked astrophotography things. So, and I sort of clued up on this in the Messier marathon video, but I thought it'd be cool to do like a live stream that was sort of like a class where it's like I'm doing the untracked astrophotography with and then you're seeing one camera where it's like what I'm seeing on the camera, and then another camera is on me talking, and could do some interaction through the chat, but also just be teaching people how to do astrophotography. And at some point I want to do that. I'll have to think about how best to do it. After seeing some ads about something, LC Sign, they have a light panel that you slide posters into. You can get different sizes. Have you thought of something like that for larger posters? A little bit, yeah. There's the printing operation that I worked with to make that Duratrans print for my little backlit frame does posters and that kind of thing. So it's fairly expensive because, of course, the movie studios or whatever, when they make a backlit poster like that, they don't care how much it costs because the movies are like hundreds of millions of dollars. So for just an independent person to do that kind of size with backlit printing is pretty expensive. But I have thought about maybe ways to make it cheaper. But at that size, it's also sort of a consideration of why not just get a really good television set. Like you can get a really nice Samsung matte television and just display your astrophotography that way. Bill says 2 satellite galaxies named NGC 4323 are connected with M100 by a bridge of luminous matter. I wonder if it's, let me see, this thing out here and this one down here. That's what I'm thinking. Could be. They don't. These two things don't look like stars to me because they're sort of like they have sort of a fuzzy, ovular appearance to them. Hello from Hong Kong. That's cool. Olivier. Nathan says, I'm a member of the Birmingham Astronomical Society. We often invite guest speakers to join via Zoom to talk about what they do and Q&A. Would you consider participating if we reach out? Yeah, possibly, Nathan. It really depends on my schedule, but definitely do reach out and I'll let you know. My email is nicocarver@gmail.com. Todd said that's correct. So to go back, Bill said that these 2 satellite galaxies, NGC 4323 and 4328, are connected by a bridge of luminous matter to M100. So that's pretty neat. Good to have you here, Rainey. Hope you have a wonderful night too. Sean asks, any recommendations for good beginner targets this time of year? The ones I showed more towards the beginning, M101 is good, M51, M81 and 82. So these are all galaxies off of Ursa Major. I think those are the best beginner stuff to go after. This one is a lot smaller, so it wouldn't be as good. But M101, M81 are both pretty big. And the Leo triplet, which got sort of foobarred tonight, but I recently shared a picture of it. It's pretty easy. See how the other one's coming out. Not much detail in that one. Thanks, Siderium. Thanks for coming. And I'm probably gonna head out here too. Been going about 3 hours, and that's about my limit, I think. So thanks everyone so much for coming to this. I guess maybe my 4th live stream, but the second in this new series that I'm doing, where it's like a monthly live stream series. Oh, Mark, maybe I gave you the bad bad luck there with the Leo triplet. Mine was dropping. Mine never really got off the ground because in both positions of the mount on either side, I was running into stuff in the observatory. So it was just sort of a stupid issue, but. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I'm going to call it here. Look out for the one next month. If you have any ideas for live streams, just let me know and can try something else. I'm really open to anything. Sort of a new experiment for me on the channel. And thank you for bearing with me with tech issues. All right, clear skies, everyone, and hope you can capture some galaxies like this. Maybe give you an idea of what a few of them looked like.